welcome to today's heartfelt conversations on the topic of the 10 different voices of the inner critic. My name is Iskra Petrova. I'm a clarity and confidence coach and self empowerment mentor, and I'm also the creator of the 5 step process Befriend Your Inner Critic. Why is it important to pay attention to these critical voices in our heads, maybe in our hearts too? Because these voices, we have them since our childhood. The inner chatter is something that is part of our development as humans. And while it sounds as something normal and present with us throughout our whole life, when these voices become too loud or too persistent, the voices of our inner critic, we may fall into the situations or even processes over a long time of giving out the control of our life and allowing the inner critical voices to dominate our major life decisions. I would like to address the 10 different critical voices, and of course there could be more, and you will see and hear for yourself. And I invite you also to participate in a little game. I'm going to announce it in a moment. I'm going to address the negative impact of listening or following, um, obeying the inner critical voices, specifically the importance for people who consider themselves change makers or impact makers, who are online entrepreneurs, online coaches, mentors, therapists, or content creators. And why I'm addressing this topic particularly for these people, and I believe you are one of them, being here part of my audience, is because when we allow the inner voices of the inner critic, of the critic, the negative inner voices, when we allow them to dominate our thought and decision making process, we allow them to hinder our personal growth, our professional growth, our expansion as people who are supporting the transformation and healing in other people. So, are you ready to join me now? You may want to take notes, and I'm going also to post a summary as soon as this live broadcast finishes. And if you are watching me live, please type hashtag live and where are you joining me from, because at the moment I am streaming live on several social media platforms, and I would love for you to engage and co-create with me. Again, I'm Iskra Petrova, the clarity and confidence coach and self-empowerment mentor. And if you're joining now, feel free to participate and also add your examples or maybe ask questions if you are wondering how to deal with the situations when you acknowledge, when you develop this awareness of the presence of the negative critical voices. And the little game I would like to offer you today is the following. Tomorrow starts the 5-day retreat, Befriend Your Inner Critic. I'm going to run it online over 5 days, as I already said, and it's going to be the 6th time I'm running this. It's an amazing, transformational, short, and very impactful process. And if you join me today, watch the live broadcast or watch the replay and share privately with me or in the comment below which one of the 10 different inner critics you recognize. I'm going to start listing them now, and share with me one short story. You are going to receive a discount coupon, which is my gift to you. And instead of $47 for the ticket for this 5-day retreat, you're going to pay only 7. And I know that it's not about the money, but it's about the fun and the engagement. So stay tuned. Follow me. It will take us about 20 more minutes. Take notes of the 10 critics and share with me. This is the little game that I'm offering today. Share with me privately or in the comments below which one of the critics you recognize most in your life, and maybe tell in a couple of sentences a little story about how it's been impacting you or what you have been doing to overcome or to manage or to befriend your own critics. So I see Lars is joining me today. Thank you so much, Lars. So happy to have you uh, be live here with me. We're talking about 10, and they could be more, of the inner critical voices. As I already said, the inner chatter is something that is normal. It's part of our mental development process. But when these voices, inner voices, become critical, become the voices of the judge, then we have to first develop the awareness and then learn how to deal with that. And today we're going to talk about the awareness, developing the awareness. So the first critic I'm going to name today is the perfectionist. Have you caught yourself up being too much of a perfectionist, postponing different projects, postponing making an important step, making an important choice, making a phone call because you don't feel ready? There is still some things to be done. Do you recognize the perfectionist? If yes, type below one. And if you want to participate in the little game and win $40 of the ticket price for the 5-day retreat, Befriend Your Inner Critic, share with me in a comment below or privately a little story or a couple of words about the critique that you recognize in yourself. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for participating, and thank you for sharing that. Yeah, the perfectionist is maybe the most present, the most popular inner critical voice, right? And I will tell you as soon as we finish short stories just to illustrate how the different critical voices are hindering our growth and our progress. And I have also to make a short remark that the different critical voices, they're different from person to person. Also, they're different throughout our growth, the different stages we go through when we're children or when we're younger and growing, developing as individuals. We hear more loudly different voices than when we are stepping into our self-expression as established professionals, as mature professionals or experts. And yet the negative impact is still big, and developing the awareness that these voices are present is the very first important step. So this is what we're doing today. As I said, the first inner critic is the perfectionist. The second one, let me see who would guess what would be the second critical voice or another critical voice. Let me see. I would tell you right away, it is the imposter. The imposter who is telling us that we do not deserve we do not deserve the attention of the people who are working with us. We are not good enough. And it's a bit different from the perfectionism. The perfectionist wants to do the things really at very high standards, and these standards are so hard to attain, while for the imposter, it makes them feel like frauds despite their high accomplishments, and it drives them to overwork so that they can prove their worth. So let me know if you recognize the imposter in yourself. And again, I'm saying that these voices are not very loud, they're not present at all times, but maybe we discover a tendency in particular type of situations, in particular type of life challenges, one or another of the critical voices to be more present, more expressed. So do you recognize the imposter in you? If yes, you can type 2. So this is the second inner critic that I'm sharing with you about today. And we have 8 more different yet related critical voices that it's good to acknowledge, good to notice when we start hearing their voices, and good to separate ourselves from them. And I have several techniques, several approaches, both mental and mindfulness approaches that I'm teaching during the 5-day retreat, Befriend Your Inner Critic, that starts tomorrow. If you want to take the advantage of participating with a gift that I'm going to give away to the people who are actively engaging with this live today, as well as with the replay, share with me privately or below in the comments a little story or couple of reflections on the inner critic that you find is present and you want to eradicate from your life, from your mental thought processes, and you will win a $40 coupon. That means that your ticket will cost only $7 for this transformational 5-day process. So moving forward to the third inner critic, it is the critical voice that is making you constantly compare yourself with others, with your peers, and this critical voice is pushing you to work harder to outdo the others. Also, when you compare yourself with others, you are looking at their social media presence. You are counting the numbers of likes and loves or comments, and you don't feel good enough. You don't feel appreciated. So, do you recognize this third critical voice? If you do, type below 3. And also, if you want to participate in this little game, share with me a little story privately or in the comments below so that you can win this $40 coupon that I'm giving away to the engaged participants today. Moving forward with the fourth of the 10 critical voices that I'm covering today. And again, I'm reminding you why I'm doing that, because working and overcoming this inner critical voices, this inner mental chatter that is stopping you, preventing you from being an action taker, from taking energized action to change your life for better, to change, to impact other people's life. All this starts with this awareness, and then once you become aware, then we look into the causes for that. We are using different techniques, different mental and mindfulness approaches, logical approaches. We're engaging the three different brains: the mind, the heart, the gut, the intuition, and this is taking place over 5 days in the 5-day retreat, Befriend Your Inner Critic. The next inner critic that I want to talk with you today about is the voice that is causing you to experience the fear of failure, and the other side of the coin is the fear of success. Can you tell me, how would the fear of success look like? Let me shorten the time because we have about 12 minutes left. When we are afraid of success, and this is usually not a conscious understanding, we are afraid that we may leave people behind. We may have some friends drop out of our environment, of our company. We may for some people, this may lead to becoming detached from other people, family members, because there is no any more alignment when our priorities changed, where we start pursuing our purpose, when we become really clear about our values. And this is a big risk, and this is a very big fear, because this is something real. It happens. I witness it daily working with clients who are change makers like you, who are watching me now. Clients who are coaches or therapists or social workers, people who are impacting other people's life with their art, as community or business leaders. When they become more evolved, more conscious about their choices, about their environment, naturally, some people, some experiences, some different environment or engagement or activities drop out, and this is part of our evolution. But before we become aware that we have the right to fulfill our dreams, to pursue our passions, this fear is really present. So this is the fourth critical voice, the voice of the critic who is making you experiencing the fear of success. And similarly, the fear of failure could be really, really strong. Let me see what's happening in the chat. Yeah, absolutely. I see the numbers. These are fears that we experience in different situations. As I said, they're not present at all times, but it's good to notice them. It's good to pay attention to them, and also to explore, to investigate, to research when and how these voices become loud, and then learn how to cope with these situations and how to befriend them. I'm not a fan of killing or shushing the inner voices, because they're part of our mental process, but I have developed a system that helps you befriend these voices, as well as learn how to extract the wisdom and the essential positive or useful information that they may bear, to understand the positive messages, the constructive messages that come from these voices, but to not let them dominate our life. So moving forward with the fifth critical voice, is the voice that speaks with the tone, with the energy of fear of rejection or criticism. It's close, it's similar to the fear of failure, but it's also, there are some subtle differences. This inner critic motivates people to overwork themselves so that they're not rejected, and to avoid any negative feedback or, as I said, rejection and being cast out. And I would say that this fear develops, this inner voice develops in our childhood, when we learn to socialize, when we learn to integrate in the kindergarten, in school, with our peers, when we are looking for connection, wanting to be accepted, wanting to belong. And this is the development specialists know better, and exactly with details at which age this exactly happens. But what is important for us to know is that very often the voices that we hear are not our voices. They're voices of our parents, they're voices of other important adults in our life. And as I said, the awareness is one of the first steps to recognize that this is something that has been embedded in us. We have adopted, we have integrated some external voices, and we have turned them to be our own voices. And it's important to make this distinction so that we know what tools and approaches to use to manage them, so that we become healthy, fulfilled, and integrated human beings. The next, and again, my reminder to you is, if you recognize any of these inner voices of the inner critics, please type the numbers below. The first one was the voice of the perfectionist. The second one is the imposter. The third one is the voice of comparison to others. The fourth one was the voice of fear of failure or success. The fifth one was the fear of rejection or criticism. And now the sixth one is the voice of self doubt. The voice of self doubt is really present when we're doubting our self worth, when we're doubting our ability to make right choices, when we're not certain, when we don't have this strong inner compass that tells us, that is our, how to say, it's the lighthouse that shows us where is the right road, where is the right direction that we have to take, and we feel uncertain, we feel floating, we feel lost. This is a really big and really serious inner critic that we need to take care of. And there are several strategies, really big and powerful strategies, that can help us develop this sense of self-worth and self-trust, develop this compass, internal compass, so that we can step forward with confidence, and we do not compensate with self let me see, self-destructive strategies, when we are not balancing the lack of this inner confidence with behavior that is not really serving us well. So if you recognize the voice of the self-doubt, you can type below 6. And I'm saying we all get to meet, to hear these voices, and admitting that we are hearing them doesn't make us less of a person, doesn't make us weak. It simply makes us more self-aware and showing that we are working and on the direction of developing this deeper self knowledge, self awareness, so that we can be more confident in our choices, in moving forward, in creating, as powerful creators, our own life. So we have how many? Three more, four more inner critics to cover today. The next one is the voice of the negative self talk. This is another big one, and I have heard it um, vocally expressed from some of my clients. I'm sure that you have heard yourself call yourself names that you wouldn't call your best friends. Do you agree with me? Has it happened to you? I personally have heard myself talk to myself the way I wouldn't talk to other people before I learned to catch myself the moment I get into this mood of self negation and self blame. And this negative self talk is can be something very very powerfully detrimental because of the power of words, because of the power of language. So if you recognize the voice of the inner critic who speaks negatively, the voice of the negative self talk, this is number 7, and you can type below 7. And we have 3 more. The next one is the inner critic who makes you procrastinate. And on its own, procrastination could be actually an effect of any of the other inner critical voices, of their impact, stopping you from taking action, making you prepare endlessly, making you try to look better, to learn more, to it could be the voice of the imposter, it could be the voice of the perfectionist, but also procrastination may have totally different cause. And I know and I believe that the experts in neurodivergent expressions of adults and in children would support me in that, is that procrastination could be a natural trait of the brain, and it's not always easy to tackle. In general, all these inner voices, we cannot, and I'm saying that with certainty, we cannot handle them simply by setting goals, writing lists, checking, making checklists, and pushing ourselves. There is some energy work that needs to be done. There is some mindfulness work that needs to be done. Sometimes there is a need for particular type of healing or therapy, and it may sound as something really easy, but this could be a cause for lots of blame and disappointment when we start following certain processes and procedures and techniques, strategies, and we fail because we think that we haven't been good enough to complete the training, to complete the prescriptions, to finish all to-do lists. And it's not that simple. We are complex beings, we are energy beings, we're multi-layered, and this requires a versatile multi-level approach. And this is something that I'm doing in the 5-day retreat, Befriend Your Inner Critic. And I intentionally call it a retreat because this is not a workshop, this is not a challenge, this is a deep transformational work that we do together. I share with you some meditations, I give you some visualizations and very simple task for every day, so that you build up day upon day, and at the 5th day you already have a short small system that you can use over and over again to handle and to befriend your inner critic. So let's see the last 2 negative inner critical voices. The next one is the voice of the overachiever. The overachiever make us overwork, make us overcommit, and it drives us to continuously take on more than we can handle. If you recognize it, if you recognize this voice that is pushing you into this type of behavior, you can type in the comments or privately share with me number 9. This inner voice, this critic is responsible for us leading an unhealthy work-life balance. And especially if you are an owner of a business, online business or in-person business, you are responsible for so many people. You are responsible for achieving business goals, for providing for others, and it is not a rare thing to be overworking yourself and overachieving. So again, if you are recognizing this inner critical voice, type number 9 in the comments or privately to me. And the last one is the voice of the inner critic who is causing us, making us to self sabotage. Again, this is not an exceptional thing. It happens in the best families, as we say. This inner critic is unconsciously undermining our own success, and it makes us stop following the constructive or positive tendencies subconsciously. If we feel that, it's not actually if we feel, but when we get on the right course and we start getting close to our dream life, when we start creating the things that we have desired, when we start achieving our goals, it is possible that this inner critic stops us, the self-sabotage, the self-saboteur, because of the fear of success, because of the fear of losing people, having them drop off our life, because of the fear of visibility, because of the fear of higher exposure. And here we can blend together all other voices that I mentioned before. Imagine yourself becoming so successful, knowing that you're on the right path, on the right track, knowing that you are connecting with your right audience, knowing that you connected with your talent and you know how to bring them out and start changing the world. And all of a sudden you discover that you're not following your plans, you are not launching your program, you are not getting up on time, your energy is low, and something is pushing you or pulling you backwards. Why? Because maybe you have this subconscious fear of abandonment, fear of being alone, because you become so different and so distant, so detached from the people who have been important until now in your life. So this was the last, the 10th inner critic that I wanted to share with you today. They could be more variations of these voices, and if you have a different proposal, a different inner voice that you discover in yourself or you discover observing other people express themselves or change their behavior, or when you know that someone is not really acting up to their potential, up to their mission in life, please feel free to share with me, and I could cover this in a separate live. For now, I want to wrap this live up with the invitation again to join the 5-day retreat, Befriend Your Inner Critic. And if you want to win the $40 coupon, which will be applied to your ticket of $47 for the 5-day retreat, share with me a little story privately or in a comment below about one or more of the critics, or simply share with me your reflections. And then if you type the words befriend, I'm going to gift you the coupon, and you will join me for this amazing transformational 5-day journey. So for now, I'm really grateful for you being here, co-creating with me. I'm looking forward to looking forward to seeing you during the 5-day retreat. And I'm also looking forward to continuing this conversation publicly in the comments below or privately in my messenger box. We can even jump on a call and talk about these 10 different inner critics and how we can create a winning strategy so you can move forward, especially when you feel that you are a change maker, you're an impact maker, and your personal growth is definitely going to impact other people's life. For now, I'm sending you a big heartfelt greetings and wishes for an amazing Friday and weekend. Here in Bulgaria, we are having a longer celebration, a bank holiday tomorrow. And for all of you who want to join me, I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Much love and until soon.